All right, back into it. Um, this is episode 12, I'm pretty sure, of my What If Civilization Started Over WISCO, as it is lovingly called. So, we're going to get back into this war that was happening last time between Rome and Egypt. If you like the video, and subscribe to the video or the channel. Do that one. Um, so, anyways, back into it. Rome is going to push back. Um, a lot of Egypt's forces. Not really. This is Saharan land, so there's like they send out like a group of 20 guys to stab a flag into the ground and be like, mine. So not very much fighting is actually happening here. The majority of the forces, the thousands of armored men fighting, is happening over here in the Libyan area. And Rome is narrowly winning, mostly because they're getting assistance from their good pal Reem in almost called it Anatolia, the Italian peninsula. So they're doing a lot of damage, particularly navally. They're Egypt's having a hard time getting trade to happen between them and anybody in the West, like over here in Western Europe and even Northern Europe, because they can't really access it super well. In order to get to Northern Europe, they have to like trade through Anatolia, through Olympia, which that's a tricky border to navigate. Maybe they do up through like this way, up to Balkan nations, or maybe they go through like Anatolia. You know what? They would do this. They would move up through Anatolia, through the mountains, through Caucasia, through the Ukraine country, then up to Estonia. But as for the meat of the conflict, Egypt's going to do a little bit of a pushback. They're pretty evenly matched, so they wouldn't Rome versus Egypt wouldn't be so messy. Actually, it would be messy. What am I saying? What am I saying? So pretty even conflict, I would say, up to this point. However, things are about to get not even pretty quickly, because some other countries are going to join in. Countries that are like somewhat friendly with Rome are going to jump in to assist them. And this country is going to be big expansionist Anatolia. They're going to set their sights on invading Egypt. They're going to send their forces along the East Mediterranean Sea, and they're quickly going to secure a boatload of land. But it's not just Anatolia that jumps in on this conflict. It is also Arabia, or Old Empire, or Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it. They also move their forces in, particularly targeting the Red Sea area. They completely secure all this. They send some boys over and land on the Sinai Peninsula, securing all of this coastal region before moving in, particularly around their capital, and decimating the Egyptian forces in this land. So, definitely a lot. Egypt is now getting attacked by two very strong countries, and whereas Rome versus Egypt was like even, Anatolia way stronger than either of those guys. So they're getting attacked by like arguably the most powerful country in the world. They're getting attacked by Rome, who's probably top five, and they're getting attacked by the Old Empire, who's top 10. So three very powerful countries are jumping them, and they're Egypt is top 10, but they're like comparative to Rome, like top five. So this is not looking good for them. They're going to need some friends pretty quickly. And very quickly they're able to find a friend in Olympia who decides now is the time because they cannot let Anatolia secure a bunch of Egyptian land and then leapfrog them for first. So they're like, all right, the time is now, lads. It's wartime. Olympia declares war on Anatolia and they begin moving in. Their first mission is securing the Aegean Sea. Aegean Sea? I think that's how you say it. They land on these islands, securing them. They make a landing through the Dardanelles and then start their land invasion of Anatolia. Immediately, Anatolia's forces kind of pull out of this region. They're like, all right, you got this, right? Um, Mesopotamia, and they've got it. They're pretty good. That's also where like all their forces are going. Like they're not exactly going to go to war with these guys, Punt, because Punt's weaker than them, or maybe not weaker, but more unstable for sure. So Anatolia's forces are going head to head with Olympia's, and this front here will get pushed back pretty brutally. They'll get kicked off the mainland. They'll still harbor harbor. They'll still be in the Dardanelles. They're able to secure that, but in other fronts, they get kicked out of these islands along the Anatolian coast. In addition, Anatolia will make a small landing in Crete, but that doesn't really serve much other than a possible springboard for more island shenanigans. But in addition, this will send their ally into the war, Thessaloniki, formerly Thessaloniki. Their goal is to get back Thessaloniki, so they begin marching their forces through central Greece, central Olympia, in an effort to return to their old lands. And they do a little bit along the coast, but for the most part, that's their goal, to get down here and secure their historic land again. Will that happen? Who knows? As for this Azerbaijan country, they will also do some invading of their own, securing the coastline of the Black Sea, and then moving into Turkey's lands. However, another curveball, I guess, that's thrown into the war. Now that the whole world feels like distracted, all these main powers feel super distracted. Caucasia decides they want the whole thing and they move in. And they move in fast and they secure a giant amount of land. Pretty much all this land, they yoink it straight out of Azerbaijan's grasp. And they quickly begin to fall into. They're scared. That's all I'll say. They are very frightened. Anyways, back down here along the main front, the Egyptian Roman front. Rome, now seeing Egypt is getting bombarded by other forces from Anatolia, but mostly um, Mesopotamia, they're going to increase their invasion and take a huge lead, essentially. They're going to make some significant naval landings along the Libyan coast, eventually consolidating them into one thick front line that'll meet up with the bulk of their forces and just move. They are hitting hard, and Egypt is slowly failing. And nothing's a bigger signifier than them completely securing all of this central Mediterranean coast along Egypt's land. And now they are way closer to Cairo than they ever would have imagined. In addition, Rome will do the silly thing and send out some guys down here into Africa to secure more land. However, it's pretty difficult to secure all that land. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm gonna have these guys do a silly willy thing. They move out in a perfectly square fashion with goals of expanding their square. They secure all of this bountiful land over here in the Sahara Desert. How wondrous. And then Rome will move in down here and I guess claim all that. They sent 4 guys on horseback or camelback or whatever the preferred means of traveling through the super desert is. I don't know. But Rome is now definitely winning this conflict. They are winning by a long shot. Egypt is panicking, and their forces are not having the time of their lives. Most of their forces are now basically stationed like right here because the rest of this land is like neat and all, but this is where the majority of their forces, like main installations, are. So Rome is moving closer by the day, and they are freaking out. Meanwhile, over here, Mesopotamia is also moving closer by the day, securing a little more of the Sinai Peninsula. However, it's heavily guarded. However, Mesopotamia will move out here and secure a coast along the Mediterranean, eventually securing all of this, which, hey, that's a front that Anatolia doesn't really have to worry about because most of, not even most, all of Anatolia's forces are headed up towards the war with Olympia. That is the biggest thing they have to worry about right now. And soon this front will completely resolve, as Rome will team up with Mesopotamia to just destroy Egypt right here. Uh, they're about to get clobbered. Mesopotamia secures all of the Sinai Peninsula, and they even move into the country a little bit. While Roman forces will secure the coastline and will move up very close to the city from here. Big battle, huge battle, but eventually they just kind of get pinched in here. And eventually, after weeks and weeks of fighting, Mesopotamia and Rome will jointly capture Cairo, and from there, Egypt basically falls into a mess. Um, their Saharan claims, Rome will send several dozens of men on camel wagon. I don't know. They send out guys to just kind of be like mine with this desert land. They're just giant amounts of land over here in the Sahara. Mostly useless. Actually, that isn't even Saharan. Hold up. All this land easily secured. Other parts of land not so much. And now Egypt's neighbors will begin claiming land. The first of which to do so is Punt, who will try to secure as much of the Red Sea coast as they possibly can, mostly to prevent these guys, the Mesopotamians, from getting some. However, they will very soon and swiftly move in and secure all of Egypt's Red Sea lands. So now Egypt is extra done, but also we have their coastal regions being occupied. As for this interior area, I mean, it's really a race to see who gets it. It's free land. However, some countries aren't really in the best of places to secure all of it. However, Hunt will do their best to secure all this land over here. Mesopotamia will do all they can to capture like a nice square of it inland, this inland area. Rome will strike a deal with these green guys to secure like this area over here in the western. That's not west, that's east. In the eastern part of Egypt, and then Rome will elect to occupy all of this land. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be controlling all this land. It will likely break away at some point, but they, for now, have their soldiers there to occupy it. So, yeah, Rome has officially won the situation down here in Africa. They have vanquished their foe. Who also, I don't know if you noticed this, but recently I tried to like clear away some of the brighter pixels, so like the coast of certain areas looks a lot prettier. I don't know if it looks better to me. Like the coast over here in like Olympia and Rome looks better than the coast of like this with all the white pixels, I think. But I don't know. Anyways, back to the squabble occurring in the Aegean Sea. Olympia will kick the Anatolians out of Crete. They will reinstill their front down here, and they will make a small landing in the. They'll go across here. However, that gets pretty quickly batted away, and then Anatolia fights them back over here, kicks out their front, and restarts their invasion of Crete. But this time it goes significantly better, and they're able to secure the entire island. So up to this point, Anatolia is winning. Uh, However, their friend is about to get absolutely destroyed. This country, the Red Country, they pushed a little too far into Olympia and threatened them, and now Olympia's charging at them with not necessarily the brunt of their forces, but a more than capable military unit. They capture the coastal area. They completely wipe out all of them. They get completely wiped off the map. They are done. They secure the capital, and now they're gone. I'm gonna keep a couple pixels there. You can't even see them, but I don't think they'll be completely occupied by Olympia during this war. They'll be back, but very small. So yeah, threat vanquished. However, we have another threat vanquished over here, as these guys will move in and they'll just completely destroy them. They'll completely walk in and occupy the entire thing. Caucasia is pretty strong, so they're able to do that. So now we have Olympia versus Anatolia, but their friends have been vanquished up to this point, and really the war is kind of stalemated here. There's no big like there's no tide change yet. Like it's super even. What will change the tide of war? Revenge from several European countries against Olympia, most notably Rheims, who will begin sending the full force of their navy in and attempting to navally land here. Now, Olympia's navy is stronger than probably anybody's in the world besides Anatolia, so Rheims is unable to make a landing. However, they're in the midst of a big tussle, so keep that in mind. However, these guys will actually just straight up attempt a land invasion. Hungary will move in into these lands, into these former red team lands, securing all this land. And then Austria will attempt to do the same thing as well, securing this out like post of them. And then they'll move in. This seafoam green Ukrainian country will not elect to do anything. However, Olympia is now being attacked. They have a major two-front war. One front, actually three-front war, to be honest. They have one front with Rheims over here in the Adriatic Sea. They have a front with Austria and Hungary and mainland Europe, and then they have obviously the most important front, this giant Aegean battle with Anatolia. Now, this series of events will kind of stretch Olympia's forces thin and will allow for Anatolia to gain an upper hand. They will win back the Dardanelles and several of these islands in the Aegean Sea, eventually securing a landing in Thrace and completely kicking Olympia out of Thrace. They will secure all of this land. So, yikes. Olympia will send some of their forces to fight back, but it won't be enough. They won't be able to kick them out at all. They have a foothold in Europe now. They'll also get back this time, I guess. So, Anatolia seems to be on top of the world. Whoa, what happened? What did I do? Okay, there we go. Zoom back in. Okay, there we go. And um, this is looking great. However, we are going to see another force join in to attack these guys, the Anatolians. And Mesopotamia just can't get their fill, I guess. They're already securing Egypt. They're kind of their stability could be called into question. It could certainly be called into question. But they're not settling for anything. Now they're moving up into uh, Anatolia. They secure a large chunk of what was formerly Egypt, and they just keep moving in, and they move in fast as well. In addition, they're able to compel one of their neighbors and sort of allies, this green team over here in Caspia, to begin moving in as well and attacking attacking these guys. What is that down there? Do you see that? It's like a weird crescent shape. Ugh, not this again. There we go. All right, I think we're good. So yeah, these guys are now getting clobbered by two countries on their front. Both of these countries are being attacked from multiple angles, and both are just devastated, essentially. Ream will be able to make a landing as these guys are just all over the place. They'll be able to make a landing over here where Croatia was, or Slavia was, and they'll be able to secure a massive front over here, which leaves Olympia super weak in this entire front line. Austria, actually not Austria, Hungary will be next to make a move, waltzing into this area of Europe. Austria will also make some moves over here, and from here, Olympia's just tumbling. They were the strongest country in the world, but it's it's a mess. However, Olympia will be able to win back Crete. That's a fun thumbs up, yay Olympia. However, again, landings from all of your neighbors on your land, not good. Anatolia is also experiencing some major they're gonna lose a giant chunk of they're gonna lose most of their Middle Eastern land to the Caspians and Mesopotamians. All of that is now Caspian, and the Caspians are still moving with goals of reaching into the Black Sea. And East Anatolia is under risk of being Mesopotamian and Caspian very soon. So most of their forces pull out of Olympia. However, they still have like a pretty decent stronghold, so that front slows down. Seeing this front slow down, Olympia is going to send some of their forces over here. However, they also are lining this coast, so they're overextended, they're tired, they're not in tip-top shape. Ream's front in Slavia will reconsolidate, and they'll be able to secure all of this under their control. Austria will make a few more moves over here in the Balkans, but for the most part, their front has slowed because they're trying to hold on to all the lands that they've acquired. As for Hungary, they'll make some big moves and then very similarly will stop so that they don't fall apart, um, which leaves the brunt of the forces in Rome to move in. So Olympia cooked, Anatolia cooked. Now, Rome was fighting Egypt. Does Rome have any play in this war? Rome likes Rheims, and so Rheims helped them invade Egypt a little bit, helped them gain the upper hand. Rome is now going to repay the favor and help Rheims destroy Olympia. Well, maybe not destroy, but definitely scar and wound. So they'll blitz into here. They'll secure coastline that's been under Olympia's control for a very long time. In addition, Anatolia will do a little more damage as well before um, Olympia's like Olympia doesn't fall into civil war, but it definitely falls into a period of instability, and they begin to try and negotiate some terms of surrender. But before the war can go to a surrender period, Mesopotamia is going to make even more moves in East Turkey, capturing some of this Mediterranean coast and southern coast that once belonged to Rhodes, I believe, and they will capture the island of Cyprus to use as leverage. Or maybe they want it, who knows. But they'll secure all of that. Caspia, meanwhile, now more stable and enthusiastic than ever, will secure a giant chunk of land, including access to the Black Sea, which they will try to get out of this peace treaty, which I guess I'll drop now. All the major parties involved in the Aegean Egyptian War, I guess, will come together to draw up terms of peace. And I guess we'll start with that now. We should start over here in Egypt, which is currently being occupied by Mesopotamia. These green guys and the blue Rome. Um, Egypt will be no more. I think maybe a new country will take their place, like a new conglomeration country, just because these countries can't hold on to this much land. They will fall apart so fast. Wait, that's not the right color. So over here, actually, I don't like that color. Hold on, let's get like a. I feel like broken. Oh, I was missing it in the wrong way. Okay, here we go. So they'll be this color, much lighter uh, orange, because before they were like a sand color, in my opinion, and now like a gold color, and now they are like now this is sand colored, I guess. But a large chunk of Egypt that is unsecurable by the Romans and Mesopotamians will kind of just be lumped into a new country, including some of us, like land from the Green Country. So yeah, Mesopotamia will claim all of this coast, all of the inland area over here in the Sinai Peninsula in the Middle East. They'll take a hold of, in addition to this part of Egypt. Now, Cairo is a big question mark. Who controls Cairo? Um, is it just split down the middle? Is it West Cairo and East Cairo, and it's controlled by Rome and Mesopotamia? I think that's what I'm going to do. So that's how they've decided to break this down. As for this like desert land, Rome doesn't want to have to try to hold on to it, so they're going to kind of let it go, let it return to Egyptian rule, I guess. I'm going to make it even bigger. Rome gained so much land through this war, there's no way they could hold on to all this desert. So these guys will look like this. In fact, they'll also do like, they'll do that. Perfect. All right, Egypt. Totally unfazed by this war. This isn't even the same Egypt because it's a different color empire. And then Rome will hold on to the coastline of Egypt along with Mesopotamia. All right, so that's the African front to this war. The outcome here, these guys secure all this. Square team. Square team. Um, and then Eritrea will hold on to all that as well. Actually, you know what? No, they won't. I've got an idea. So this border looks kind of weird, so we're gonna do that. There we go. Problem solved. Beautiful borders. Actually, not really. This is horrendous, but whatever. Um, Over here in Anatolia, the Mesopotamian country can't hold on to all this land. They already took on a lot of Egypt. They're going to give back Anatolia a decent chunk of their core land. However, they do hold on to Cyprus. They really wanted Cyprus. They're going to get Cyprus. However, this like chunk of land they're not going to hold on to. And in fact, the Caspian country will also not hold on to a decent chunk of land over here. They will give that back to Anatolia. However, they very much wanted access to the Black Sea, so they're going to keep that. Something like this. Actually, maybe not quite like that. But you get the idea. Like, yeah, like that. Not the best borders, I know. They wanted access, they got it. Meanwhile, in um, Olympia got pretty messed up by the war. They got pretty badly beaten up. However, they were able to take out Thessaloniki, I guess. So that's a win. Not Thessaloniki, but the Red Country. Ream will be able to gain a lot of their land back, plus more from the Olympian loss in this war. They will hold on to all of that land. Meanwhile, Austria will hold on to most of the land they secured, ceding back a little bit of it to Olympia, and then same with Hungary, they'll give back a tiny bit. As for Olympia's occupation of this red country, um, they'll be back. They cannot hold on to all of it. They will give back their coastal region over here, and then Anatolia will pull the strings to return their the rice borders. So they will look something like this. So Olympia loses out pretty big on the Black Sea. They lose access to the Black Sea and they lose the Dardanelles to the Anatolians. So however they're able to get, I don't like. I'm gonna say Olympia gets back some of the land Hungary took. There we go. All better. So at the end of the day, this war didn't really go their way. I'll say they gained a couple islands out of this because it feels a little uneven for Olympia. Feels like they definitely got the short end of the stick. Anatolia didn't get beaten up enough. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have them lose a little more land to the Caspian country. It's not really a even. I would say Anatolia. I don't think they've won. I don't think anybody really won this war besides like Rome. Mesopotamia, if anything, won the war. They got so much land. They're doing pretty good. So yeah, but now that'll be the end of this video. The war is over. Actually, I need to remember we have a new country on the map, which means they are getting a capital. And that capital will be somewhere along the Nile River, so like right here. That is so hard to see, but whatever. Actually, we'll put their capital right. And where should I put their cap? I could be funny and put it over here, but I don't think that's smart. I'm gonna put it like right here next to the Mesopotamian country. Anyways, that'll be the end of this video. Actually, before we end here, I'm gonna do a little more expanding of the African countries. We're gonna see this. Actually, this country didn't get a capital either. Hold up now. This is preposterous. My neck hurts. I have terrible posture. So these guys will get a capital. It'll be right here. And am I missing anybody else's capital? Whoa, what did I do? I pressed up a new button. I think it just sent it back to default, but I think. Oh, you know who doesn't have a capital? This yellow country over here in Cambodia. Their capital will be right here. Okay, at least that's prominent. That's good. All right, looking good. All right. So, uh, I said it was doing some expanding. Okay. We'll have Tanzania gain a little more land here in Africa along the coastline. That's nice. And then we will have the art punt, keep on called Artray after punt, and they will expand further into Madagascar, securing a little more land. Pretty sure Madagascar is kind of hard to occupy because it's very um, foresty, I think. I don't know. Correct me in the comments if you would like to. So yeah, they'll secure all of North Madagascar. They'll also discover these two islands over here. I think one is Comoros. Actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure one of them is Comoros and then one of them is Mauritius. I think. Anyways, the Punt people, the Punt folk of the Red Sea will secure North Madagascar. And then I'll end the video at that. So if you liked the video, please like the video and subscribe. It would make me feel pretty happy. But until next time, precious viewers, farewell.